All right, so let's get into WrestleMania, Billy. You were okay. So let's right off the bat. You were adamant, very confident that Vince McMahon was going to wrestle.
Yeah.
Much to my chagrin, because we just could not see what on earth. But you said they're basically just producing all of this content for the documentary. So they want Vince in there and stuff, and that's the way what it looked like. It looked
exactly what it looked like.
Looked like they're producing content here for but it's funny because like Meltzer had reported that as of a certain day, that match was still listed on the internal documents, and he was very skeptical. Like I think everybody was skeptical, but you. You're like the only one that was like kind of like stuck to that he was going to like Vince is going to run. I'm like, are you sure?
Do you want me to explain that? Do you want me to explain that this way?
Yes, yeah.
I know and have known for the last 10 years more than Dave Meltzer. Like that's it. Like that's the fact of the matter. And for the last
like your
10
source,
years,
you got a very strong source in WWE. That's
not just one.
Obvious.
Not just one. Various sources, and I've beaten Dave Meltzer for the last 6 years, every single year, every single month, and every single week. It's not even close. Like it's ridiculous at this point how he's considered to be a sort. And I understand like he has more than just stories and he does the star rating, but the credibility, the star rating is gone as well once you start going 6, 7, 8, whatever he's up to. So,
here's the thing. Dave's going to produce pages and pages and pages of content every single week on various subjects. But what it comes down to, if you're looking at the quality of the content when you're talking about WWE, I don't think I haven't seen anybody that comes close to you, period. You know, which is why I'm interested in hearing like the hot news. You know, like the stuff like this I like. Is like when you make predictions kind of like outside the box a little, you know, few months out, and then we circle back and they're like the breadcrumbs are like, boy, you talked that a while back until then everybody catches on. You know, so. But that was good stuff.
I mean, there was a heavy pitch for Omos to do something big, and when Omos was originally going to face Lashley in a match that was going to be more of a main event level match, he was supposed to go with MVP. So they didn't change from the match, and they didn't change from him going to MVP. And I mean that the title wasn't involved, but that story I gave here before the Royal Rumble happened. And then that's just happened over WrestleMania weekend. So, I mean, there's loads of it. There's Vince wrestling. There's Austin wrestling. There's Ronda being there. There's just tons and tons of stuff. I can reel off lists.
Well, this is what I want to ask you. I want to ask you the one thing that did not come to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
You said that the Brock Roman match was supposed to be this like, okay, this is how we're going to do the no holds barred thing. You know, like that. I was anticipating, especially when Brock took the gloves off at the beginning of the match. So I'm like, okay, they're going to do a spot where he's punching him in the head and Roman's going to bleed. It was kind of weird that like the match ended the way it did. That was like a Raw match or like a SmackDown match. That did not seem like a pay-per-view match. It was very basic and simplistic. Did you hear anything?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I got more tweets about that thing where it was like, oh, but it was like, yeah, but you said this, but it's like, yeah, but I also said these other 20 things too,
right?
Like, and everything's happened. But I'm not
going to think in the wrestling business that anybody in this business, basically sourcing through people in the wrestling business, are going to get 100% accuracy every single time that they speak about something. Like, I just know this business.
Can you imagine me going 9-1 in gambling? And getting a tweet about the one. Can you imagine?
Right, yeah, I know. Right? It's pretty funny.
But the reason that happened is because both guys got hurt during the match, so that was why, and it was all during that spear spot. It looks like it was during something else. Like I've heard some like mad stuff, which I haven't been able to like confirm with anybody like reliable. So I might find out something more next week.
Let's hear an unreliable rumor that you heard.
Okay, well, so. I heard that Brock had a broken rib, which broke like the wrong way, a cracked rib, and that but he just like wanted to carry through because obviously it's Brock and he's done this a few times. But then Roman also
for $2-3 million is like he can get through it.
Right. Well, I don't think it's more that. I think it's more down to his image. But also then once Roman wanted out as well, then they decided to go home because once Roman dislocated his arm. But what I was told is during that spot, there's a spot in the Kimura, and apparently Brock thought that he could get the shoulder back in, but didn't. So they just said, and they said, is it still out? Is it still out? And they said, yeah. So I have to watch it back, but I as I said, I don't believe this entirely until I hear it from somebody within the company. But they said that Brock Lesnar was aware that the shoulder was broken when he went into the Kimura and actually wasn't trying to apply the Kimura with the pressure that it looked like, but was actually trying to put the pressure in the opposite way, where he was trying to push the shoulder back in. And
okay, well, I get it. But let me tell you this. So what's this deal with the Pat Buck guy who supposedly worked as a producer on that match and a producer on the Ronda match, that he quit the day after WrestleMania? So I was wondering if that had anything to do with it, like, or maybe, because that's what I was thinking, that, like, that maybe because those matches were like two of the matches that didn't really get panned, like people thought, like, that they were kind of like I don't know, like, nobody really put those two matches over, and I'm wondering if, like, he got heat for laying him out the wrong way and basically was, maybe yelled at or something. What happened?
Well, the Brock Lesnar matches, you're missing 16 minutes. You're missing the blood and everything that was supposed to happen. I mean, he took his gloves off and everything, so you lost 16 minutes of that match. It had that look. There's logical holes throughout. Like, are the New Day going to get 2 minutes for their match if there's time left at the end? No. So the way that show was timed out was for that match to have an additional 15 minutes. And you know what the WWE are like. They're not going to leave any time on the table. There's no way WrestleMania would have gone off that early with that kind of finish. I mean, one spear, like, this was supposed to be blood and kickouts and kickouts and kickouts. And I mean, they promote it as the biggest WrestleMania match of all time, and it's done in like 11 and a half minutes. So obviously you don't have to be in the business or a genius to know that this wasn't how it's supposed to play out. So there's no heat on, like, Pat Buck for that one. As for the Ronda match, again, the fact that they couldn't work through the finish or anything till Friday, and with Ronda not being on SmackDown on Friday as well, like, how can you put heat on that? Because you've got Ronda trying to do almost 20 minutes for the first time since she's come back. In fact, this match was longer than any matches she had in her first run as well, when she was a lot more in sync. Now she's only been back a little while. She's had a baby as well, and she's done her longest match of all time, which is against Charlotte. So you can't put that on him, especially when the story behind all of this is that everything with Steve, in order to wrestle and whatnot, more so than the physicality, was all finalized on Friday. So Steve got in on Thursday to the Omni. I think it's called the Omni Hotel. By the way, a little tidbit. This is the most expensive hotel in the history of WrestleMania that they ever stayed at.
In New Orleans?
No, Dallas.
Wait, what? Dallas, excuse me. The Omni Hotel in Dallas is the most expensive.
Yeah, that's what they were saying. Yeah.
The rooms were $3,000 a week.
What?
Yeah,
that's like $400 a day.
Sorry, what?
It's like $400 a day.
Well, they weren't even there for a whole day, so it's $500 a day. So they're for 6 days.
Just think about how much money this company's making. They're like, who cares?
Conan, did you go to the hotel? Did it look like it was worth $3,000?
Yes.
Oh yeah, but first of all, Conan, let's hear a little. What was your WrestleMania experience like? Who did you see? And did you spend time with Ray and Dominic?
I spent more time with Ray, and we had a get together. It was like me, like the Mexican crew. It was me, Garza, his cousin, Fantasma, the two guys in Legado, DJ Z and Raul Mendoza. This guy from AAA called Bandito. Ray, me.
So you saw Road Dogg. I saw you saw Road Dogg.
I saw Road Dogg. Yes, I did see Road Dogg.
Does he want to come in the podcast?
I didn't ask him, but somebody asked
what?
him. And
why would you not have asked if he wants to come on the podcast?
Yeah, because I know he's going to tell me yes. I mean, what's he going to tell me? No.
Right.
That's not a question. That's not really a question I need to ask him.
So what do you got there?
My buddy was actually with Ray. I'm trying to cover his face. He was with Ray and Dominic at the hotel.
Really?
Let me say, I did see Buff.
Right.
DDP.
Right. What was Buff like to you? Because he's been we saw the clips. He's been kind of critical of our show a little bit, but kind of in a lighthearted way.
No, he was very nice. He's in rough shape, but I think he's with DDP now. So good. I'm glad. Yeah, he's in rough shape.
Question.
He was Big Pop. He was wearing the top hat.
Right.